So I can't believe that the last Etoro portfolio update I did was actually in April last year, which means it's been a full 12 months since I did an update, which is insane. But obviously, if you follow me, you know that I sort of disappeared for a while last year. So I guess it sort of makes sense, but I'm still shocked that it's been so long. So here is a very long overdue Etoro portfolio update. And just very quickly before we start, a reminder that you can either follow or copy me on Etoro. So you could just sign up and follow my portfolio, follow my posts, which again, I haven't been doing many, but if you've watched my I Quit My Job video, you know that from August, I'm going to do this full time. So I will be writing more. I'm going to be writing more sort of analysis, writing more my thoughts around my investments and stuff like that. So if you want to follow that, I'm going to use that as a bit of a blog, if you will. Then just use the link down below to sign up. And if you want to copy me without having to track everything I do, then you can also do that. In terms of investments that I choose, Etoro is going to be about 50% of my investments. So I'm only going to have Etoro and Trading 212. And then I also have Money Farm for a small element of my portfolio where I do want some of my funds to be managed by someone else. So link is down below, but without further ado, let's jump straight in. So let's have a look at the overall performance first. So you can see I started with Etoro in 2020 and I had 4% that year. Then in 2021, I had 25.6% increase. But then obviously last year was terrible. And I also didn't invest any money that year because I was focused on the house build. So I had minus 24%. I don't really trade CFDs. I don't short things. So when the market crashed, obviously, so did my investments. I do regret not capitalizing on that and investing in stuff, but never mind. And then 2023 so far, we've got 12.6%. So overall, still in the plus since we started. Now, in terms of people who copy me, very frustratingly, I think people don't really read my bio and they copy me, and then after a year they're still in the minus and they think, oh, I'm just going to stop copying her because I'm in the minus. My portfolio is a long-term portfolio, so if you're going to spook when after a year or two you have a minus, then probably you shouldn't be copying me in the first place. I'm looking at like at least a 5 to 10 year portfolio, so it is about long-term growth, and I'm, like I said, I don't short things. I don't look for quick gains. So yeah, if you are thinking about copying me, just bear that in mind. You know, are you going to stop copying when you see a minus, or are you going to use that as an opportunity to invest more? Okay, so I'm going to go through these based on how much I've initially put in, so the amount invested in each of these, rather than the current sort of market value. So the first holding in terms of the amount invested in it is S&P 500. So I've invested 550 in here. As you can see on here, because I've only got one holding, and it's currently valued at $481, so down 12%, which isn't great, but we all know the stock market's doing a bit rubbish at the moment. And obviously you can see here, this is a CFD trade. All ETFs on Etoro are CFD trades, but there's no leverage and no overnight fees or anything like that if you just buy the standard ETF. So let me just show you. If I do trade here, you can see here it says CFD trade, overnight fee 0, weekend fee 0, and ×1 leverage, which means there's just no leverage there at all. Okay, so the next biggest value in terms of how much I invested in is Amazon. I invested $380, so you can see here $380 invested, and it's currently valued at $395. So up 4% here. And as you can see here, you've got the breakdown that Etoro provides, which shows you all of the positions you've opened, each sort of purchase that you made, and your individual profit or loss. on each one, which I quite like. The next one is Drax Group. So I've invested $370 here in Drax. I'm hoping that they will bounce back up because they were up a lot more previously. So you can see here, I'm up like almost 60% on some of these. So I'm just hoping it'll get back to those levels. So 15% isn't too bad actually overall, but like I said, it used to be much, much more. Next, actually surprised me, it's Bitcoin. But I think I've gone up to 370 invested on Etoro because I'm trying to average down my position. So you can see here, 2021, 22, and then 23 as well. So I'm up the most on December 2022 when it was 17K. And then obviously I've got some positions here when it was like 34, but I still think it's going to bounce back up, which is why I'm adding small amounts, but I'm still adding into it. And I'm up 2.5% overall here. Okay, so the next one is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. So I've got $346 invested here, which is currently valued at 315, so almost 9% down. But similar to the S&P 500, obviously we know what's going on right now, so not too worried about this one. Next on the list, we've got Legal and General. So this one I invest in more for the dividends than I do for the gains. But it's still 3.9% down at the moment. But I'll go through the dividends a bit later on. Next on the list, next biggest one that I've invested in, if that makes sense, is Google Alphabet. So $275 invested, currently worth $239. So minus 13% at the moment, which is frustrating for Google, but never mind. Pretty much mostly being brought down by this position from December 2021. But my latest positions, as you can see from 2023, are all in the plus. So fingers crossed that it won't take too long to recover. Procter & Gamble next, so 270 invested, currently worth 290. Every single position here is a plus, which is nice to see, up 7.7%. Another one that's all green for every single position is Shell. So I've got 250 invested here, and it's currently worth $276. So up 10.7%. Again, this has been up a bit more previously, but it's still up, which is good. Tesla next. So $220 in Tesla here, down 19%, which is all pretty much from my first position in Tesla, which was back in 2021 again. So all of the lowest ones are from end of 2021 because then everything just crashed in 2022. So minus 47% on that one. But then the latest positions are in the plus. I don't even want to talk about Cardano. $206, currently worth $60. God knows what's happening here really. It's just depressing. This was so promising. But like I said, I knew that this was a huge risk when I invested in it, but I was so hopeful that this was gonna shoot up. But I'm not selling out because I'm still hopeful that it will recover. AbbVie next. So this is on both of my portfolios, my best performing holding. So I've had it since 2020 and I have $150 in this portfolio. And it's currently up 84%, which is insane. I think it was up like 90 something percent last time I checked, so it must have dropped a little, but 84%, which is pretty good. Johnson & Johnson next. So we've got 3 positions here, overall up 7.5%. So I have $150 in here, and it's currently valued at $161. Ethereum next, so $135 on this one, up 54% since, and all of the positions you can see here are up. So again, a pretty decent one to look at. Best one actually from the start of 2021, up 76%, closely followed by the end of 2022. 3M, really disappointing so far, but Again, this is more of a dividend investment for me anyway. So $130 in this one, currently valued at 90, so a 30% drop. But again, invested in 2021, and it's down since then. But the investment from 2023 is up 4.3%. So basically, if you're getting anything from this so far, it's that if at any point you were thinking about copying me, now is probably the good time, because all of the older positions are down, which means that hopefully they'll recover going forward. But obviously, not financial advice, do your own research, all of that jazz. AMD up only 0.5%, which is disappointing, but pretty much all down to this investment in 2022, which is down 12%. And all of the others are up so far. So again, this has dropped quite a lot since the peak. So if we look at the max, it was valued at 155, and it's now 89. So quite a big drop there. Next on the list, we have GSK, so down 10.5%. Both are investments from back in 2020, so not particularly doing well. But if you remember, all the healthcare companies were doing pretty good back in 2020. And considering I've not invested since, this is why it's still overall down. But I will probably start averaging back into this one. Unilever, $100 in this one on Etoro. I'm up 7.5% on this one. Both positions in the green, but obviously only $7 because it's a small amount. I do hold a much bigger position in Unilever on Trading 212. Admiral Group, currently down 21%, but again, it's an investment from back in 2020 that I've not really averaged back into. So $100 currently worth 78. National Grid, I do love National Grid. And again, I have far more of this in my Trading 212 portfolio, mostly because this for me is a big dividend player. And I have an ISA with Trading 212. So the big dividend players I've got in there so that it's protected from tax. So currently up 17.8% on this one, which obviously is only $12 because it's a small amount invested. BAE Systems, so this is a January and February of this year purchase. So $65 in here. Currently up 20.8%, so almost 21% up, which is pretty good. Coca-Cola next. So again, a dividend one here. Back at the end of 2022, I put in $50 in this one, currently up 1.4%. NEO, not much to say here, invested back in 2020. Haven't averaged back in because I'm no longer sure about the company. Basically, I'm keeping it in just in case, but I don't want to put more into it. So currently down 77%. Microsoft next, so $41 in this one, both positions in the green, currently up 1.5%. So not much, but in the grand scheme of things, fairly recent-ish investments. Apple next, so this is from March this year and currently up 12.5% since then. So actually doing pretty good considering the short time frame. So $40 in here, currently worth $45. Equinor, so this is a new addition from this month. So currently down 2.6%. But obviously this hasn't even had a month to perform yet. So fairly new addition for me. So this, if you're wondering, is a company that produces, explores, develops and distributes oil, gas, wind and solar energy. So if we look at the graph, it has currently dropped below its peak. So at the peak it was $406. And the final position in here is down 30%, Enphase Energy, invested at the end of 2022. Enphase used to be a really good performer for me, but so far it is down 30%. So only $20 in this one, obviously, not seeing it as a big player, but yeah, so far down 30%. Now let's have a quick look at the dividends. So If I sort this by the most dividends paid, so this says overnight fees, but essentially if it's positive, it means that it's dividends that you've received. And I don't hold anything in my portfolio that incurs actual fees. So this is basically all the dividends I've received from these companies. So GSK, $40 so far. Legal & General, $38. AbbVie, $15.50. Admiral, $15.13. Drax, almost $14. Procter & Gamble, $11. Johnson & Johnson, $7. Vanguard, $7. So as you can see, even though it's a CFD trade, you're still receiving the dividends. Shell, 6.4. 3M, 5. And then you can see the smaller amounts here. I'm not going to read them all out. So I think that's pretty much it. So overall, I've got $4,897 invested, and it's currently worth $4,832. So I'm down $66 overall, which considering the last 12 months is actually not too bad at all. So like I said, if you want to copy me, now might be a good time because everything is still not completely recovered. So you might be able to potentially get bigger gains. So if you are interested, link is down below. Any questions, thoughts, leave them in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.